it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, December 31st. So welcome to the very last day of 2022. We have the moon moving out of Aries energy, moving into Taurus energy, which is a very interesting vibe for us to be wrapping up 2022 on and preparing ourselves for jumping into 2023. Why do I say that? Well, I covered a lot in the 2023 energy forecast that you can take a listen to if you haven't already. But basically, we have a lot of Taurus energy. And we have a lot of Venus-ruled aspects coming at us here in 2023. And it's all going to be about, first of all, breaking it down, getting back to basics, rebuilding, recreating, giving birth to new elements, especially in our personal lives where values and worth and relationships are concerned. We have a lot of energy supporting us to find peace and balance and harmony in our lives while recreating new foundations for ourselves. And we definitely have a lot of building and creating to do. So the fact that we are going to be moving into this Taurus energy, which is a fixed sign, it is low and slow, it is an earth energy, very focused on trying to stay in the present moment and have the attitude of gratitude for the smaller things in life. We are definitely in an interesting energy to reflect back on 2022 and prepare ourselves to jump into a brand new year in 2023. So we have the moon going void, of course, at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will be locking into that Taurus energy at 12:10 p.m. again Eastern Standard Time. There are only 6 different aspects taking place here today. All 6 of them involve the moon, which makes it a moon day. What does a moon day mean? It means that it's going to be highly emotional, super nostalgic. We're going to likely be processing a lot of emotions in our inner realm. Keep in mind that Mercury is now retrograde, so there's a lot of introspection, reflection, review, revision going on. And this is likely going to help us kind of defrag, if you will, the things that we do not need to be taking into the new year. This is a time for us to be lightening our load. This is a time for us to be examining our here and now and really taking care of ourselves here in this present moment. And of course, making choices, making decisions that are going to assist and better our future selves. So the moon is going to be making some tough aspects here today. I'm not going to lie to you. It is going to be a highly emotional day, being a moon-ruled day anyways. But we have a lot of conflicting energies creating some not so nice energies and emotions, starting with the moon, who's still very much in Aries energy at this point, squaring, getting in the boxing ring with Mercury, who just went retrograde in Capricorn energy. So the moon is our heart space. Mercury is our head space. We are battling it out for balance. Our heart is not agreeing with our head. Our head not agreeing with our heart. Emotionally speaking, in Aries energy, we are charged up, fired up, ready to go. We are ready to take action. We do not want to think about the long-term consequences. We just want to make a move. Of course, we're in Capricorn season, so that is not going to fly. We have to be calculated. We have to think logically. We have to think practically. We're only concerned about the long-term consequences of our words, our emotions, our actions at this time. So of course, we're already feeling that resistance. Now, Mercury, who rules over our mental plane, our thoughts aren't really as clear as we would like. There's a lot of reflecting back. So here you have the emotional charge of wanting to move forward, but yet we have the mental perspective of looking back. And again, if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you would know that we're in a stage right now, a cycle right now, where many of the answers that we are seeking as far as the future path, direction, mission, and purpose go are found in the past. This is very much the back to the future vibe. And we are definitely fighting it out in the boxing ring, our heart and our head going at it to try and get on the same page. The moon goes ahead, semi-squares Mars. Now, this is important because Mars rules over Aries energy, and interacting with the ruler does not feel so good. Mars, of course, ruler of physical action, over our passion, our desires, even our anger, if need be, is retrograde, so stunted out. He has an internalized energy in Gemini, which is the intellectual battlefield, which is the mental plane, which Mercury rules over. So you best believe that there's a lot of frustration and agitation coming up because we can't think clearly. We can't sort out our thoughts. We can't take action. And, the Aries energy that the moon is in has us very, very wound up tight. We're restless. We're agitated. We got ants in our pants. We just want to move forward. We just want to take action. We just want to make progress. And there's not a whole lot of progress that can be made, especially interacting with Mars, because he's all cluster effed up in the mental plane. He's blocked from taking any kind of action, pushing and asserting any kind of energy out into the world right now, because he has to sit in the corner and think about what it is that he wants to do. Now, why is all this happening? Keep in mind, when we move into January, we're going to have Mercury and Mars go direct in a very close window of one another. And that is when we are going to gain clarity. That is when we're going to take action. That is when we are going to see progress. That is when we're going to move forward. But up until then, we are going to be super, super ticked off that we are being stalled out, blocked by the universe from being able to think clearly, to align with a path, a decision, a choice point, and to actually take action on it. So then the moon goes ahead, squares, gets in the boxing ring with Venus. My goodness, Venus being the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, happiness, money. She's in Capricorn energy, so she's thinking very low and slow, very logically, very practically, very business-like, if you will. There's not a whole lot of emotion coming up because we're controlled in our emotions, a little bit cold and rigid in our emotions in Capricorn energy. But we're getting into the boxing ring and we're fighting it out. Now, what are we fighting about? Well, because the moon in Aries it wants to be excited, wants to be passionate, wants to move forward, wants to exert himself, wants to make things happen. And Venus, who is very, fluid, very receptive anyway, is in Capricorn energy and pumping the brakes on the moon being in Aries, saying, you know what, you're going to get us in trouble. You're going to make moves that are going to mess things up. You are going to set us back if you don't get control over yourself, because we have to think very long, very hard, very carefully on what it is that we actually want to bring to life. And you not having a focus, not having direction, not having the right kind of energy backing yourself right now, going to get us in trouble in our relationship dynamics because we're agitated, we're popping off, we may be throwing a little bit of a tantrum because we're restless, we got ants in our pants and we're frustrated. And Venus just wants to chill, just wants to be calm, just wants to go at a slower pace than the moon in Aries wants us to go in. So we're definitely going to be feeling that conflict as well. Now, the last aspect that the moon in Aries is going to make before going void, of course, is a square getting into the boxing ring again. If you haven't noticed yet, there's a lot of conflict here this morning with Pluto, the great transformer. So let's talk about this. First of all, Plutonian energy takes us on a little trip down memory lane to remind us of the pain, the trauma, the suffering, to remind us of all the situations in the past that we didn't stand up for ourselves, didn't advocate for ourselves, didn't stand in our power, didn't control the situation, where we essentially gave our power away to other people. And we have to do this little reflection because the whole point of Plutonian energy is to kind of remind us of our hardships, to trigger us, to inspire us, to act as the catalyst for great change. That's what Pluto energy is all about. He's the great transformer. And that transformation needs to happen in the psyche first, in the emotional field second, before we can engage the physical body and make the changes in our physical realm that we need to make based off of the aha moments, the epiphanies, the shift in perspective, the shift in our emotional understanding that we are likely going to have throughout this day of looking back and then trying to gauge on what we've learned in the past so that we can integrate that and actually move forward. But this doesn't feel good, and it's likely going to bring a lot of fiery emotions, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of agitation. Those are the strongest emotions that we can use as a framework to understand where it is that we feel helpless, where it is that we didn't do right by ourselves, where it is that we can learn from those particular situations in order for us to boss up, to be better, to want to do better, to take control, to stand in our power, to stand in our authority. Very much recognizing where it is that we have an opportunity to turn our past pain into our present power, where it is that we can turn our past darkness into our present light. And when we stand in our present light, stand in our present power, you best believe that we're able to kind of illuminate the path forward, the changes that we have to make in order to free ourselves from some of the old storylines, old soul contracts, old experiences. So 7:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon goes void, of course. Things get shaky, things get uncertain. We tend to not have as much control over our emotions as we would like, and especially in the fiery energy of Aries, we can have a little bit of a tantrum if we're not careful, if we're not in control, if we're not disciplined enough. And of course, we lock into the Taurus energy at 12:10 p.m., again, Eastern Standard Time. And we tend to feel that shift because, of course, Taurus energy is an earth energy. It's like we're all fired up, we're all riled up with this Aries energy, and then bam, we hit a brick wall. We have to slow our roll. We have to become a little bit more present. We have the want, need, and desire to find comfort and familiarity in our here and now. We want to focus on what doesn't feel so good so that we can nurture and nourish ourselves back to a place of comfortability. And that's exactly what we should be doing as we wrap up 2022 and prepare to jump into 2023. We have to examine what doesn't feel so good. We have to identify what it is that we can do to make ourselves feel better. And we have to try as hard as we possibly can to really take care of ourselves. So the first aspect that the moon in Taurus is going to make is a little bit of an awkward one with Jupiter. So Jupiter is all about growth and expansion, about beliefs and blessings, and definitely gives us a big picture, right? So the problem here is that Jupiter is in Aries energy. And I'm not going to say that that's a problem per se, because of course it is going to be very beneficial for us moving into 2023, giving us a huge amount of growth, giving us huge opportunities to put ourselves out there, huge opportunities to advance ourselves, to reinvent ourselves. We have a lot of pros coming with the Jupiter in Aries energy. However, the Jupiter in Aries energy wants us to grow right now, wants us to take things on, wants to make moves, wants to initiate, wants to open up new chapters, wants to jump into new topics and themes. And the moon in Taurus just wants to make peace and find, stability here in this present moment. We have no want, need, or desire to look back. We have no want, need, or desire to look forward. We just want to enjoy this present moment. We want to throw ourselves into the creature comforts, if you will, so that we can have a certain amount of happiness, pleasure, and joy in this particular moment. So there is a little bit of a tension here because there is a part of us that just wants to amp up, just wants to jump into something new. We can be overwhelmed with all the things that we want to do. It's almost like we have one foot on the gas and then we start pumping the brakes, right? And what you get is a lot of smoke, a lot of spinning tires. We're absolutely going nowheres. We're just sitting here just spinning. And that might be an uncomfortable energy for a lot of people, but this is an opportunity for us to see where it is that we want to grow, where it is that we want to improve, where it is that we want to pursue new directions, new paths. It's okay to contemplate. It's not okay to take action. So if you can find a balance within yourself in order to be okay in this present moment, contemplating what it is that you do want to take action on, that's okay, because this Taurus energy has us focused on what it is that we have to build, what it is that we want to create, what it is we want to give birth to, but also be very present in this present moment in order to enjoy ourselves, to have the attitude and gratitude of this present moment without projecting ourselves so far into the future that we miss the happiness, the highs, the lows, the everything in between of the here and now. The last aspect that we have here today is the moon in Taurus making a very favorable interaction with Saturn. So Saturn being the Lord of karma, ruling over roles, responsibilities, foundations, systems. He's in Aquarius energy. So this is all about taking the big picture of where it is that we want to be and breaking it down into small, manageable pieces so that we can actually accomplish it and reach our goals. Now, here's the thing. This is a little bit of a clash, just seeing that, Saturn being in Aquarius energy does have our mental plane focused on what we have to do in the here and now in order to build the bridge to get us from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. The conflict is that, of course, the moon in Taurus just wants to enjoy the present moment. However, we are on the last day of 2022. We are moving into a brand new year. And there is this overlap between the old and the not yet new. And what we're left with is the here and now. And the here and now can feel very heavily weighted if you're not in the right mind frame for it. Again, Mercury is retrograde in Capricorn, bringing a little bit of negative Nancy to the forefront. So we have to be careful about that. We have to understand that Saturn is the ruler of karma. He rules over Capricorn season. We are in a different timeline, a different storyline, a different soul contract right now. We're in a different season. We're in a different cycle of karma. So there is this element where, part of us is heavily weighted and heavily nostalgic and looking back. And then we're like, no, it's too overwhelming. Bring the senses back, bring ourselves back to this present moment. I'm happy, I'm safe, I'm comfortable in this present moment. I have the attitude of gratitude for this present moment. And then all of a sudden we start thinking about the future. What do we have to do? What do we have to build? What do we have to implement? What do we have to create? And then all of a sudden, oh no, that seems overwhelming. We bring ourselves back to this present moment. It is a constant battle for your attention, for your energy to be grounded and rooted in the here and now. And we will constantly feel that ebb and flow, that back and forth between energies here today in order to stay as present as possible to enjoy this moment, the here and now, as much as possible.